we've got a wild matchup here in the NFC as the New York Giants coming off a great Monday night victory, fly down to New Orleans to take on Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, and the Saints in the Superdome. It's going to be absolutely crazy. Ryan, I honestly can't believe, looking at it, that the Giants are one game back from the 7th seed in the NFC playoffs here. And a lot of it has to do, this is going to be shout out to my buddy Justin here in my Dynasty Fantasy League. His nickname for the new quarterback, because he had an intense matchup today against my other buddy Jeff. His nickname for the quarterback, Tommy Mommy makes my bed, but I'm an Italian meatball, so no one cares DeVito. I don't know if that's funny or not, because I'm kind of still trying to get on this Tommy DeVito train, but whatever train it is, I mean, he played great Monday night against the Packers. Yeah. I love all the new nicknames, love the whole personality that I'm seeing from around himself, his family, and the organization. They're a fun team to watch now. And it's almost kind of maybe are we starting to see history repeat itself, and the Giants are about to go on a late season dash to try and make it into the playoffs, you think?
I don't know. The defense definitely played really well. I think they did a good job in stymieing Jordan Love in that offense. The offense, I think, had some explosive plays, but they still made too many mistakes for my liking. Specifically, Saquon Barkley having the awkward fumble on the ground. You just can't do that. That's not a winning formula. And also,
as a Falcons fan, I won't comment on untimely fumbles in the red zone based off the season that we've had so far. So
yeah. But they did make good plays. But to be fair, Tommy DeVito went 17 of 21 for 158 yards and 1 touchdown. I think he did run for another.
Yeah, but I'll be completely honest though, is we're starting to give Russell Wilson a bunch of praise just because of the performance of the team, and he hasn't had too many different stat lines than that this season in games that they've won. So that seems efficient. It seems like he's playing within the system and within the overall kind of capabilities that Brian Dable trusts within.
Yeah,
I think that was the biggest thing too. Is one, it's to state the obvious that the Giants have one of the worst offensive lines in the league, decimated with injuries on the tackle position, and also just play position as well from Evan Neal. But even then, though, too, sack wise, they lead the league in. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they lead the league in sacks allowed. Not even close. They lead the league in sacks allowed, 69 sacks, next to Commanders at 58.
And they still have 4 games to play.
And they still have 4 games to play as well. And actually, if I look at the upcoming schedule, they're going up against the Saints, Eagles, Rams, Eagles. So they get 2 games against the Eagles and then 1 game against Aaron Donald. So
the Saints
I can see that number going up just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little. The Saints pass rush, I do not think is as good. But I mean, they still have Cameron Jordan. And I just think that offensive line or defensive line is more geared towards stopping the run than really getting after the passer in elite ways. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't view them as one of the elite pass rush teams.
So the numbers would back you up here in that stat. So New Orleans Saints are 3rd to last in total sacks on the season at 23. Pressures are 4th last, only 94 pressures on the season. Go up a little bit on the percentage of pressures that they have, just shy of 20%. And then hurries, they're middle of the road in the hurries that they have on the quarterback here. And they blitz about 24% of the time. So I would say that would be pretty consistent against them, even going up against a team like when I've watched them play against the Falcons. Falcons have one of the better offensive lines in the league, I would say, when fully healthy. And they struggle to provide a consistent pressure. Really, any pressure was honestly more due to Ritter hanging on to the ball. So I think that's going to be one of the interesting factors looking at this game is if you look at the overall stats, rushing wise, both of these teams defensively allow a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah.
But if you go look at it from an offensive standpoint, the Giants, they've started to improve a little bit in the rushing game over the past couple of games during this winning streak, but both teams are just about average when it comes to rushing yards. And when it comes to passing the ball, Giants have an average passing defense as well. And the Saints actually have one of the better passing defenses when it comes to overall yards allowed. And that's where I think we'll have to kind of see. And it's one of the things I think with the Saints that I just feel like they've just been inconsistent overall, or maybe inconsistent in getting in the end zone. It feels like they're
Yeah.
between the 20s. I think you said this a couple weeks ago, and I agree with it. In between the 20s, not too big of an issue moving the ball. Once when Alvin Kamara comes back, he's the ultimate check down guy. He can do 4 verts or try and get guys open, like based off certain post plays or pick plays or whatever. But if it's not open, you can trust Alvin Kamara is going to be right there, and he can go get you 4 or 5 yards. They're kind of doing that running through the air type strategy where it's just quick little dinks and dunks moving the ball up the field. But pretty consistently throughout the season, they just struggle to get into the end zone. And I think against this Giants team who they're not going to be able to put up – not going to be able to put up like Cowboys or Niners, like offensive numbers. They can probably get the 24 points like how they got last week against a pretty decent Packers defense. But I think that's kind of their limit. And I mean, if I go back and look up, they did score 31 against the Commanders a couple weeks ago, but that also too about a month ago. Commanders have one of the worst pass defenses in the league, one of the worst defenses in general, outside of Deron Payne and then Jonathan Allen.
Yeah.
But then even other than that, they hit 31 points in week 2 against the Cardinals, and that was against Daniel Jones. Other than that, this is the first time they've hit over 20 points outside of those other 2 instances. So if the Saints can get a couple touchdowns, I think that they're going to be able to just I think that will be enough in the game. Just game management, just get in the end zone a couple of times, methodically work your way down the field. Now, if you're the Giants, you're going to want to try and keep them in between the 20s, keep them to as many field goals as possible. So then hopefully Tommy DeVito, Saquon Barkley can work their way down the field and just have a couple of those key opportune moments just to score touchdowns.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the Giants, they definitely need, I think, a few things to fall their way. I just think the Saints, from top to bottom, kind of have a bit of a better roster. And I can talk a little bit more about that in our predictions here. But before we get into that, I want to go ahead and say, Tyler and I, we have a unique goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers. That would put us at 2,000 subscribers in a calendar year. So if you could help us reach that goal, we would be very appreciative. Tyler, I'm going to throw it over to you first. Are you picking the NFC East team, or are you going with your division rival here in the New Orleans Saints? Because I know you want the Saints to lose this matchup.
I do want the Saints to lose this matchup, and I actually think they are going to lose this matchup here. I have a feeling that there just seems to be a different vibe around this New York Giants team with Tommy DeVito at the helm. They will be going to the Superdome. That is going to be a different environment. But also, too, I will say, I don't know how much I trust this Saints offense. I feel like they've just been inconsistent at times. And like I know they put up 28 against the Panthers. But at the same time, though, too, it is the Panthers as well. I think they've maybe started picking up a little bit now, but there still just seems to be some inconsistencies from my standpoint where, like, kind of similar, I feel like, to the Buccaneers, where they'll just stall out for some reason. You know, there's not really anything, any real reason. They'll just won't be able to get a first down, had to settle for a field goal or had to punt. I think a lot of it has to do with the weaknesses of the Saints offensive line. And I think the Giants will be able to exploit that. Saints will also be able to exploit the Giants' weak offensive line as well. So both those teams have been managing poor offensive line all season. So I think the ones that can obviously manage that the best and win in the trenches is going to be the one that comes out victorious. I'm going to go with the Giants in this one.
I agree with you. I think the team that is going to dominate in the trenches is going to be the winner of this matchup. And I just like the Saints to do that. To me, this run defense, while not great, is better. And then I also think you look at in the passing game, which you have to be able to pass the ball at this level of the NFL. They're a top 5 passing defense. And while they're only 3rd in sacks, Tommy DeVito's hanging on to the ball for a long time. I do expect their sack number to go up by at least a couple. And I think Tommy DeVito will make a couple mistakes here in this matchup that will be crucial. I think it's going to be low scoring. I'm going to say 24-17 in favor of the Saints.
I like it. Just a quick, fun little stat here, talking about the weaknesses of the offensive line, but then also some weaknesses on the defensive front as well. These two teams, the Giants and Saints, are almost identical in every category except for one. And I'll leave that for last when it comes to defensive stats. Sacks-wise, 23 total sacks on the season for both teams. Pressures, Giants beat the Saints by 2, 96-94. Pressure percentage, Giants have a 0.3% higher pressure rating. Herd percentage, 8.3% for the Giants, 7.9% for the Saints, right next to each other. But when it comes to the overall blitz percentage, Giants blitz at a 41.6% clip, while the Saints blitz at only a 24% clip. So that will be something interesting to watch if the Giants are able to get after Derek Carr and just make him have to make tough throws, and if they're able to shut down Alvin Kamara. I think it will be interesting to see how the Saints offense does against a team that blitzes a bunch. This almost has a similar mentality to the Minnesota Vikings of Brian Flores. So it'll be fun to watch. Huge game. I honestly kind of just forgot that the Giants were there, but now they're sitting at 5-8, one game back from the Packers, who are the 7th seed.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. They have the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Packers, so interesting little battle there. But let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. Again, if you could help Tyler and I reach that goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers, we would very much appreciate that. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Is it going to be the New York Giants? Is it going to be the New Orleans Saints? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.